Hello and welcome to Spirited Debate. I'm Lauren Green. The future of religious liberty in the military may be in question. The U.S. Supreme Court has declined to hear the case of a former Marine court-martialed in part for refusing to remove a Bible verse from her workstation. The verse in question, Isaiah 54:17, which says, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper." Lieutenant Corporal Monifa Sterling was given a bad conduct discharge for refusing to follow orders. Here to debate, Executive Director of Catholics in Alliance for the Common Good, Christopher Hale, and Senior Pastor of First Baptist Church and a Fox News contributor, Dr. Robert Jeffress. Welcome to you both.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Christopher, let me start with you. So the question is religious freedom under attack in the military?
That word under attack is very strong. I think when we're talking about religious liberty being under attack, there's other situations we should look to first. But that being said, there is a concern here. Look, the United States is not a Christian nation. It's a secular nation. But as a secular nation, it's our job to treat all religion the same and equally. And I don't think this woman putting Bible verses at her desk is in some ways infringing on the livelihood or the well-being of other members of the military. We should allow for displays of religion in the government, etc., as long as we're not doing it as a means of proselytizing others. And I don't think that's what she was doing.
Okay, and Dr. Jeffress, what do you think about this situation?
I've actually talked to her attorney about this case over the last couple of years, and it is nothing but an abomination. I mean, to think that we give our military hundreds of billions of dollars every year to protect our freedoms from outside attack, and yet the military is trampling upon the religious liberties of Americans in this particular case. It's unthinkable. And I have to say, Lauren, had this soldier gone to the military and asked for special accommodation because of gender confusion, they would have willingly paid for surgical procedures or hormonal treatment to accommodate that, but they won't let her put a Bible verse on her desk. I mean, that is unthinkable, and that's what liberals do. They create imaginary constitutional rights, like the rights to select your gender, and at the same time, they erase very real constitutional rights, the free exercise of religion.
You know, Christopher, the lower courts concluded that the order to remove the verse did not constitute a substantial burden on her First Amendment rights. And the justices on the Monday, the Supreme Court, upheld that and her court-martial without comment. Are they basically kicking the can down the road? Are we avoiding something that we're really going to have to take on eventually?
You know, the next 25 years in the United States, the biggest legal question I think we're going to have in terms of domestic policy is religious liberty. Look, the Constitution of the United States was created for a secular nation. It had no notion of public goods like we have today. And this conflict between public goods and private religion in the public sphere is going to be something we have to deal with. There's going to have to be educated lawyers to figure out this question. We need an element of coexistence. You can be religious in the United States and exist in a secular nation and infringe as little as possible on people's religious beliefs and practices.
Okay, and Dr. Jefferson, why don't you answer the question, speak to what Christopher talked about in terms of a secular nation and that sort of thing. I mean, just your comments on that.
Well, we would maybe differ a little bit. I do believe America was founded as a Christian nation, and whereas we've always recognized the rights of people to practice any faith or no faith at all, we have decidedly said, and our Supreme Court in the past has said, John Jay has said, this is a Christian nation. But having said that, I think somebody ought to be able to display a verse from the Quran or any other religion that they want to as well. And what we've got to remember is the Constitution does not promise a freedom of offense from religious expression. There is nothing that guarantees that somebody won't be offended by a prayer or a Bible reading. What the Constitution does promise is the free exercise of religion, and we must protect that.
Really quickly here, because, the religious people, particularly evangelicals, have put a great hope in President Trump's choice of Justice Neil Gorsuch for the High Court. And that was one of the reasons Trump was elected to protect religious freedom. And this case was one of those closely watched. So, Dr. Jeffress, does this signal something, does it send about the religious freedom in the military or just about the Supreme Court?
Look, I know from talking to the president, he believes all of these efforts to narrow people's religious freedom will ultimately be decided in the court, and that's why he wants to appoint conservative justices. I'm disappointed the Supreme Court, as you said, kicked this down the road, but they cannot dodge it forever. I agree with Chris. This is the issue for Christians in the next few years.
And Christopher, I just want to give you the last word on this.
You know, I think we have to figure out as Christians the way going forward. What hills are we going to die on and which ones are we going to pass on? There are big issues to fight with religious liberty, but not every issue is the big fundamental issue of religious liberty. So we need to be careful going forward of what we're going to fight for and what we're not going to. We need to keep our eye on the ball.
All right, I want to thank you so much, Christopher and Robert, for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And check out my new book, Lighthouse Faith, God as a Living Reality in a World Immersed in Fog. And for more news, go to foxnews.com. I'm Lauren Green, and thanks for watching A Spirited Debate.